Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. The term OSIRIS-REx, for some of you, you may be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Others of you may be completely unfamiliar with it. And for some of you, it may just ring a bell. Well, it was actually NASA's endeavor that was launched 5 years ago to land on an asteroid, bring back samples, and tell us the history of outer space. Yep. This is really going on right now, and we're coming off a monumental event, and that's why we're fortunate enough this morning to be joined by Dr. Danny Glavin. Dr. Glavin is the Associated Director for Solar System Science. Let's just put it this way, folks. His department is in charge of bringing everything home that NASA goes and gets, whether it be the asteroid, whether it be Mars. That's right, this gentleman, his department is in charge of it all. Dr. Glavin, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I want to go back to the beginning of this plan, the impetus. Why did NASA find it important to try to land on an asteroid?
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me today. No pressure about this fall on me today, but NASA's really interested in asteroids. These are ancient remnants, the leftovers of solar system formation over 4.5 billion years ago. So they're time capsules, frozen time capsules. And we're interested in studying these because they can provide us answers to fundamental questions about our origins. How did the solar system form? How did the planets form and evolve? How did we get our oceans? And where did life come from? And by studying these materials, these ancient time capsules, we can begin to answer some of those fundamental questions.
Now we talk about taking off from the asteroid today and making the trip home, but I want to backtrack a little bit. How do you land on an asteroid?
Well, first, you can't land on an asteroid. The gravity is so small. I mean, if you were standing on this thing and you jumped, you would fly off of it. You'd go into orbit. Oh. So we do a maneuver called a touch and go. It's like a pogo stick where we collect the sample, we fire nitrogen gas, we collect the sample. It looks like an air filter on a 57 Chevy. We fill up that container and then stow it away. Operating around an asteroid is no joke. It's really challenging. So you just kiss the surface. You just touch it briefly and then get away.
So this is amazing to me because I know that when you did your pogo stick on the asteroid, you actually overfilled the collection bin. Is this something that you anticipate? Well, you couldn't have anticipated it, right?
Not at all. I mean, that was a big surprise for everybody on the team. When we touched the asteroid, we thought we'd contact for 5 seconds and then, just kind of bounce off the surface. But we plunged our collector deep, about 1/2 meter. The only thing that stopped us from going deeper was the rockets on the spacecraft to lift us back up. So it's like landing in shaving cream or something. I mean, it was bizarre. But as a result of getting deep, we were able to fill up that collector with a lot more material than we anticipated. So that's really exciting.
So it truly is not something like off of a Bruce Willis movie. Like it hit and it takes off and it's sitting there, and now we've got to get the thing back home, and that begins in earnest now.
Yeah.
Give me the first initial steps as far as how you get these samples home.
Yeah, so 4:23 p.m. Eastern time, we'll begin our main engine burn. We'll fire the thrusters for about 7 minutes, pick up about 600 miles per hour of speed, and then start heading back on a trajectory to Earth. It's not a direct path, though. We actually have to lap around the sun twice, travel 1.4 billion miles before we finally catch up to Earth on September 24th, 2023. At that point, we'll release the sample return capsule. It'll enter the atmosphere, survive the fiery descent, deploy parachutes, and then softly land in the Utah desert, where we'll pick up the samples.
Okay, Dr. Glavin, your answers have been phenomenal, but you just left me with about 10 more additional questions. Do you have time to stick around here and come back a little bit later in the show? I know you got a busy day. Just a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's Dr. Danny Glavin. He's Associated Director for Solar System Science at NASA, and we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.